Okay, as far as I can tell, we are live. So, welcome everybody to this is for me, this is Endangering the Grave, where we experience the resurrection power of Jesus Christ. And okay, as far as I can tell, we are live. So, welcome everybody to stop talking me in the background. So, anyway, welcome everybody. Sorry, we were gonna stream on YouTube or stream on StreamYard, but um it seems to be the enemy did not want that, or God allowed it to happen so that we would be here with better internet service on Zoom. Also, I feel like Zoom is actually better for streaming with, but StreamYard is more convenient because you can stream to multiple platforms. But those who need to hear this will hear this, and I can upload things later. So we have back Brian Melvin by popular request, back by demand, Brian Melvin, and we are going to talk about uh, equity, diversity, and inclusivity, not necessarily in that particular order. So, Brian, welcome back.
It's good to be here. Glad to see you guys again. We'll have another illuminating, enlightening in the Lord chat. Hopefully wake some people up to what some of the schemes of the devil are, because that's what we're actually talking about. You talk about inclusivity and all that. It involves the schemes of the devil. And we're not supposed to be ignorant of his devices.
Right. Isn't that interesting? Hmm. So this was one that you kind of baited me with in our last interview,
Okay.
which we were
I didn't mean
also.
to. I didn't mean to, but
It's not baiting, but it's a topic that I love to talk about. Like all this stuff is so planned out. I mean, first of all, Alice Bailey wrote this book, The Externalization of the Hierarchy, in what, the 1920s or 1930s?
she wrote it from the early 20s on up to 1948. She just added chapters, but the earliest chapters, I think, were 1924, where she predicted in the 1966 things would happen. And I think it was about the 1930s. She said that the year 2025 will be the externalization of the hierarchy, preceded by a time of chaos,
Mm,
in order for to prepare for the hierarchy to appear on Earth in
interesting.
various ways. Basically, mass possession first, and then the second would be their actual appearing on Earth, which we are beginning to amazingly see.
Sorry.
Amazing, amazingly, we see the all the videos coming out about UFOs and our unidentified flying objects or whatever. We're seeing that.
Aerial phenomenon, they call it now.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're seeing.
It's that's like my wheelhouse. That's like one of the things I talk about. We talk there's so much stuff in the Bible that the Lord is telling us that says they come from the farthest reaches of the heavens and all this stuff. And of course, the enemy wants to try and figure out a way that they can take that and fulfill that prophecy somehow. And it's very interesting. Like people said, oh, well, when you read Isaiah 13, it said it could be angels. And I was like, angels don't rape, murder, kill, rip babies out of pregnant women and smash them on the ground and all this stuff that it says it does in Isaiah 13. So,
Mm.
uh, what's the word for a disclaimer? Trigger warning. A
Yeah,
little
trigger
late.
warning.
But anyway, so tell me what is the externalization of the hierarchy and what even does that have to do with any of this?
She wrote this book called Externalization of the Hierarchy, and the hierarchy, I'm going to do this basically from memory, but the hierarchy are uh, spiritual entities, which she calls and identifies as watchers. And their goal is to prepare for the one to the one to come, who will rule the world, which is she calls the silent watcher. He sits in the background waiting for his return. So through the silent watcher, he's conveying thoughts and vibrations, the good vibrations, to influence human agents to contact the hierarchy on how to bring them back. Basically, you have to she channeled it. You have to take over the arts, entertainment industry, the financial banking industry. You have to take over media, news, radio, TV. You have to take over and influence the government, the military. You have to restructure and reorient what family means. And basically, it's all the cultural mountains of influence. So before, when she wrote this book, none of that was starting to happen, but she lamented that they didn't have any money to carry this out, and because she was channeling that this was going to come about, and so and they captured the banking industry, they captured the financial institutions and commerce, and now they have the money. And so what it is that these people are theophysists. This is the cerebral form of Gnosticism. This is Luciferianism, because H.P. Blavatsky talked about, you have to, it's the worship of Lucifer. And so you want to implement and create a brand new utopic world of group love, group consciousness, a Christ consciousness where everybody gels and is one. It's all loving, all kind. And basically it's Gnosticism, and Gnosticism simply is put in the writings, all the theophysists you can go through, even the occultists will say that there's a demiurge, an upstart God who thinks he created everything, and that's a Judeo-Christian God. He created the material world, but you need to return to a world of pure spirit. And so the hierarchy is to guide humanity how to become pure spirit beings again. And so they have 7 stages of what they call it, root race. What do you call it? Root race of evolutionary development of the human race, the root human race development, so evolutionary stages. So H.P. Blavatsky said that humanity now is in the 5th stage. And so they are getting real excited because the astrological features and the age of Aquarius is seen to come. So they got real excited that this was coming about. And so all of a sudden I see everything falling in place, lining up with what she channeled about bringing this new utopic world of right human relationships together, which involves what Alice Bailey would write, inclusiveness and fairness. But her idea of fairness is more in line with Klaus Schwab's equity. It's bringing everybody down to a certain level for fairness sake, so that in order to do that, the hierarchy, these fallen watchers, are going to guide human agents on how to become pure spirit beings, get everybody into this utopic one world, kumbaya, give everybody a gummy bear hug mentality. And it's basically collectivism. Alice Bailey believed in spiritual communism. She is an adherent of communism. She channeled that, the three governmental systems will be used by the hierarchy to bring this about, which would be the totalitarian democracies or social democracies, and communism. They have to be purged of their bad elements. So in order to bring out the pure spirit of communism, where everything is perfect, you have a worker's paradise, you have a human paradise on earth of people guided by pure spirit. So when that is ready to start, they have this thing called, when you can tell when that happens, and when they jump off from the 5th root race stage of evolutionary human development, we'll jump into the 6th root race stage of evolutionary development. What will happen is, H.P. Blavatsky wrote in Secret Doctrines, will be the destruction of America and the West, and a creation of a new race of beings, the spirit race. So usher in and capture all the other nations and lead them into the 6th root race of evolutionary thing of how to become pure spirit beings. In other words, become Luciferians, and create this perfect, all-loving, all-kind world where you have to destroy and burn down the system, get rid of and kill in the name of mercy and love and tolerance and unity, get rid of all the reactionary people who are basically Judeo-Christian tradition values, and turn everything over to a spiritual form of communism. It's all collectivism. We see it in Klaus Schwab, "You own nothing and you'll be happy" video that he conveniently took off. It's the same philosophy. They control what you eat, what you drink, what you drive, what you can do, what you can't do. It's total top-down, bottom control, because you're doing it for the good of the group, the good of humanity. And that's the idea. And so the hierarchy was guiding human agents to do that. And they would actually come into human agents by what she called overshadowing certain types of people who will bring this concept up. And she wrote about one that was to come, that was there'll be a woman from India. Well, she exists now. I actually watched some of her videos and was shocked. And Russell Brand usually has her come on quite often, and she's from India, and she would be a feminist, but she's all about group love, group consciousness, and collectivism, the same thing. So these people will be overshadowed. Overshadow means you're possessed, but you retain your mental faculties. You can have emotions, feelings, you can talk. You're not a babbling lunatic, okay? You are very rational. They take charge of your mental faculties. And they either do this willingly or unwillingly. I found out they most likely do it willingly through initiation, and they become that. They become these agents, and they inhabit all the top echelons. Their goal is to guide humanity into this collectivist spiritual communism that Alice Bailey and Theosophy wants. Theosophy also had adherents, and the adherents and followers in the government of the United States and Britain and elsewhere after World War II, during World War II, 1930s. This goes way back. I mean, they were the ones that founded the UN, and many of the members of the UN and who started the UN Charter were Theosophists. Cordell Hall was one of them, and a few others were Theosophists. They were followers of the occult. And their idea was through a state that is very, deep in thought, would get together and bring this about to try to get everybody into the sixth root stage by destroying the material West and bringing in the spiritual East philosophies. You infiltrate everything, churches to a one world religion. You do all this stuff. And the idea was inclusivity. And there are certain tactics that will evolve in inclusivity, diversity, and equity. Those were the three buzzwords they use now. Back in the day, they used buzzwords like Alice Bailey did, like a world citizen instead of global citizen. And inclusiveness is still used in both. And fairness is now equity. Inclusiveness, equity, and diversity would be group love. Basically, that's it. And so the principles are the same, the words change and over time. And what they were seeking to do and implement would be what has now come out is called a totalitarian democracy. To
That
jump
sounds
into,
oxymoronic to me.
yeah, it is oxymoronic, but the idea is simply it's where voters still vote for who they want to, but after the representatives or leaders are voted in, they have no representation at all in their form of government. So when you hear people like Obama, Biden, Harris, news media personnel, so we got to stop a certain individual who goes by the name number 45. We have to stop him because he's a threat to our democracy. Well, whose democracy? I wish a news personality would interview these people. Whose democracy are you talking about? And you'll find out it's a totalitarian democracy. It's a one-party system. You vote them in and they do whatever they want, and you have no rights. We have that in California, giving what? Non-citizens free healthcare, free places to live, a chicken in every pot. And who's going to pay for it? The U.S. citizens, because in totalitarian democracies, they got to housebreak their citizens, get them out of the material world, and bring them into this collective utopia. So they got to housebreak them or break them. So they use psyops, they discourage you, they make it look hopeless in order to create this. Joseph Stalin and Hitler and all that, even back in Nimrod's day, Nimrod used the same tactics. It's old as the hills. It's nothing new. It's a totalitarian form of democracy that's run by basically the elite corporate class and the elite eggheads and they kind of get together with political agents to carry out this idea, because this is where theosophy hangs out with this type of knowledge. And they're going to be meeting in Davos in a week or two, I think. And so most of them, the vast majority of them, are involved in some type of theosophy or the New Age movement, which is part of theosophy in our subchapter. It's all goes back to the Gnosticism, and they want to bring in this inclusive, perfect world. And like I said on the video, I went up and I went to the store and I bought a box of cereal, and I bought it before, and and I can't name the brand, but it does have a big K on it, and and so this particular brand was cheap, so I bought it, and I looked and I brought it home thinking that this would be, had this before, and it's been years since I had it, so I thought, well, it's all right. So and my wife was reading the ingredients, and in fine print it talked about organic protein being in it. Like, oh my gosh, that's a video I did on the same subject. That means bugs. So the organic protein in the cereal was bugs. And so the idea is to feed people is through a corporate um, uh, engineering fashion. This is, Klaus Schwab is an engineer. So engineers think weird. So if you put this together, you can fix the world. And so let's get rid of all the farms. Let's cut CO2. Let's get rid of farms and have these box store hydroponic plants to grow our food, but there won't be enough. So what else can we do to feed the serfs? We feed them bugs. And so this is what the totalitarian democracies do. They will force you to comply at all costs. In other words, it just lines up with the Antichrist, because they are preparing for the silent watcher, the Antichrist. And then in that system, you can't buy, sell, or eat unless you worship him. So this is all preparatory stages. Theosophy is preparatory stages, written out, channeled out how to arrive there, which world leaders are following. Certain ones, not all. Some of them are just hoodwinked. They think they're doing a good thing, and they have good motives, but they have no idea the depths of what is happening. That's how initiation works. They don't tell you that you're going to have to get rid of all the reactionary people. And theosophy is very anti-Semitic. And Alice Bailey was an anti-Semite. And so with this philosophy, suddenly there's going to be an explosion in the transition of the fifth, getting the people out of the fifth root race to the sixth root race with the destruction of the West. You have to get them in the same anti-Semitic spirit. That will be seen worldwide. And guess what? Are we not seeing that?
Mm-hmm.
So all this stuff indicates to me that these people really are out to bear. They feel victory, and they're going to push at all costs to get what they want. They want this sixth root race stage, and begin the steps in the 7 stages involved in the sixth root race stage to prepare human beings to be pure spirit beings that reject materialism, reject the Western ideas and traditions of Judeo-Christian, because that's evil to them. They want, they only want they'll bash everybody with the rights for the perverse and profane. And so what they do, the totalitarian democracies do, is if they can't get a majority of people to agree with them, they do what is called demographic destiny. That's a new word. Most people, it's been around for years, but nobody ever pays attention to it because very few people report on it. You can look it up, demographic destiny. That means open borders, bring other people in. Non-citizens, give them rights over other citizens. You want them to be able to vote, because they say so themselves in their own documents. Demographic destiny is about that. In fact, Time magazine wrote a big article about it, and it says it right there. The whole purpose is to switch over the citizenry to vote for the totalitarian democracy people who want a totalitarian democracy where so they just voted in And you know why they want the third world people in? Because they're used to this type of government. So they want to bring down the West, bring these people in for inclusiveness, diversity, and to create equity amongst all nations. In other words, the United States is materialist. They have a free market system. They cause all the sin in the world, and they have to be brought down to their knees to a third world country and destroyed and pay for their sins.
Hmm.
And in the name of inclusivity and equity, to create a just world where everybody's equally serfs and poor. That's basically it in a nutshell. And so they use this demographic destiny to flip nations over. That's why George Soros, which is a Marxist, possibly a theosophist too, is so big on open borders. And also this involves the destruction of what law and order is. And you know, you're going to create order out of chaos. You're going to make this new order by implementing as much chaos as you possibly can. And so they do that. So demographic destiny involves that. And so this produces what is known as a majoritarianism. Now, majoritarianism is some high falutin phrase in philosophy and stuff like that. But basically, in political science, it's the idea that you attain a majority. So if you get a majority of people you can control and vote for you all the time, soon you don't need them because you have total power and you switch over to spiritual communism and you don't have any need for people to vote because you got a majority. So majoritarism is when you get people hooked on goodies from the government, that the government does everything for you. You hear Michelle Obama say, just recently, the government does everything for you. We got to defend our democracy, our totalitarian democracy, because government does everything for you, gives you goodies. So if you don't obey the government, you won't get any goodies. That's majorityism. And so this creates a class of people who will spy and snitch on each other. Adolf Hitler did it. Stalin did it. Every despot does it. They get all these goodies out, but it doesn't last, and people burn out, and eventually they see through the sham, and like the Soviet Union collapse. This is happening in China too, where they get people to snitch on each other, and you know who's the opposition. You know, we got to get rid of them, knock them off, bump them off, re-educate them, get rid of them, put them in a slave labor camp. This fits well with the corporate world's view because they love slave labor. That's why they like to send all their people over to China and their businesses and corporations. A little unknown secret. They want to control everything. And they're in the book of Revelation, they're called the great men of the earth, and they prosper through a free market system, a Babylonian free market system. And then they lament and are shocked when the stuff hits the fan and they realize they just destroyed the thing that made them prosper, and they just believed a lie. And they have an OIC moment in Revelation chapter, was it 18 or 19? And they go, oh, woe is me, Babylon the Great has fallen, because they're lamenting all their ways to make wealth, and their power and control has just been destroyed by the Antichrist, who wars against them. See, the Antichrist wars against materialism, and they're using materialism to get the wealth to create this collective communist, spiritual communism. Little do they know they're going to bring in this silent watcher who be the Antichrist back into the world, you know, and to be this one world leader who's going to get rid of them too. Because the lie is simply this. Gnosticism is all about getting humanity back and setting them and liberating them. It's all about liberation and freedom and back into a pure spirit state. So like I said before on your show and other shows, the pure spirit state is your spirit in the pit of hell being tormented. That's what they're doing. That's the devil's deception. That's his device. Makes it sound good. Hoodwink. He makes addiction sound good. Alcohol, pornography, whatever. But it's dragging you straight to hell. And yet lifestyle will. It'll destroy everything. And so likewise, all this demographic destiny, totalitarian democracy ideas, communism, all that stuff, it's to liberate you, free you, and destroy the system. And so you'll be a free spirit being, and you'll be one with the devil and or the Luciferian light, and everybody will get along and hug each other, but in this pure spirit state. But the pure spirit state means you die in your state fallen spiritual state, and you're captured by the devil and you're sent to hell. That's what it's about. All the stuff about communism and all this stuff they're trying to push off on people now is all about the devil getting people to hell. And when you have Saul Alinsky, who dedicated his book to Lucifer, and it makes you wonder why, because and the rules for radicals and how to do it are no different than the devil's plan. His playbook is all right there. And you have Karl Marx and the guy before him in the 1700s, I can't remember his name, who came up with this. This collectivism has been around. It's been around for thousands of years. The idea of it was probably birthed in humanity through the fallen watchers in Genesis 6 and later in Nimrod. Everybody is a collective world. Everybody is under one roof. Everybody is and for fairness and equity, but the government controls everything, and what you do, say, or eat, you're a brick in the wall. Is all you are to these people. The means to an end. And
One thing that stands out to me here is I was praying the other day, and while I was praying, I was listening to the Bible, and the Lord said that we're going to see a time where a great famine comes to America, and it'll be to the world, not just to America, because of what's going on at that time. And I don't know, he didn't give me a time frame or anything like that, but obviously it's biblical. It says there will be in the end of days anyway. But he said when they did that, that the government was going to do what Pharaoh did and try to buy everybody's land and tell them, I'll sell me all your land. You can live off the fat of the land, but you give me 1/5 of everything that you get, but I own everything that you have anyway. 1/5, that's twice as much as what God even asked for as a tithe.
mm-hmm.
Imagine that. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And then while I was listening, it started to play on in the book of Genesis at that part, talking about how Pharaoh did that. And he said that the governments were going to try and do that, that they were going to try and buy everybody's land. And it was very important for Christians to be able to trust God and believe God for finances, for food, for everything, because otherwise people will just give up everything and be completely controlled and dominated. And that's not even just part of the Antichrist thing. That was just something that they were going to try to bring into place so that they could say, well, you do this and we'll give you food. We were prepared for this. We came up with this plan a long time ago. And I'd heard Christians in different circles talking about that before, but the Lord never said anything to me about it. So I didn't have any opinion about it. I didn't know. I'm like, whatever, this is conspiracy theory 101. Everybody knows this is what the government's plan is, right? It's obvious to see, but it's not a conspiracy anymore. It's a conspiracy when there's people sitting behind their computer pointing the stuff out and everyone's like, conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory. But then when it starts to happen and people try and quote this, scripture says, don't call conspiracy what everyone else calls conspiracy. I kind of see that scripture a little bit differently. It almost like God's trying to tell you, not everything's a conspiracy.
Yeah, that's what I gather it means. Not every there are conspiracy facts. What I just shared with you is all verifiable by their own websites, what they say and what they're doing. Bill Gates is buying a lot of farmland. Now we have, what is it now? I took a picture and I showed it on one of my videos as a box of broccoli in the grocery store. And so I went to the grocery store and saw this, and there's Chinese writing all over it. But the stuff is grown in America. And I go, what in the world is this? Is this? I looked it up. Foreign companies now can come into the United States, buy up farmland and grow things on it and sell it in the United States and to their country too. So China is a big dealer of that. So China's buying up farmland too. So I think the governor of North Dakota, she was lamenting this back in July. I think it's in Arkansas or Oklahoma, maybe one or both of them probably did, are trying to get foreign entities no longer being able to do this, as well as rich corporations. The whole idea is to control the food so you can control the population. And every communist takeover of the world or totalitarian takeover involves a famine. That is a historical fact. So you have an idea that's being set forth that the globalist elitist want, which is found in the UN in a they came up with a program of action in Cairo, Egypt, 1994, I think it was. It's a program of action for basically how to population development or control. And it starts out really nice, all these sweet words and how we need to help, prevent overpopulation by, all these things. We'll reduce the third world countries by giving the kids and the women over there all kinds of rights and food and stuff. So they don't have as many kids to take care of a farm. All you need is two. And so, and then we'll have to reduce the carbon footprint and solve the problem of environmental changes. And we'll have to, these and weather issues that are developing, weather change that is so threatening everybody's life. What we will have to address these issues. So how do you solve poverty? How do you solve this? So they decided to implement. This is part of UN policy. In fact, it is a source cited at the end of Agenda 2030. Actually, it's there. It's the UN policy adopted at the Cairo summit. And so on page 23, it says, define sustainability as poverty, environmental, and population eradication. That's what it involves. When you hear sustainability, it means you're going to solve poverty and environmental problems by eradicating population. It says it, and then it tells you how they're going to do it with all these words, basically through corporations. They're going to be buying land. They want to justly and humanely, with dignity, decrease the world's population. What better way is to create a famine and control the world? It's just natural phenomenon. Let's just bump off a lot of people that way. How about let's decrease the population? How by promoting a lifestyle, androgynous lifestyle, and so they chemically castrate themselves or whatever. It's little kids, get them there because it's human rights. It's for their liberty and freedom. They have a right to know what they're doing, and so they self-castrate or take so many hormones they'll never be able to reproduce. So they humanely reduce the population that way. That's why you're seeing this stuff.
That
And
is,
it's part of UN policy,
yeah,
part of this Theosophical Society idea, Luciferianism.
that's crazy. And we can call it a demonic agenda in church, but people don't understand exactly how truly demonic it is. It's like it's the playbook, it's the handbook. And even I watch all of your stuff. By the way, make sure you go to YouTube, The Christian Marauder on YouTube, and like and subscribe to Brian's channel because he talks about this stuff in depth. And I watch everything, and it takes me a while because I got kids, because I got to listen to like 10, 15-minute increments without being interrupted. And my wife doesn't like the same things that I like, so I got to listen to it on my own. But she's like, why are you listening to this? I'm like, because it's amazing. Are you kidding me? Do you know how much research he's putting into this? He talks about this stuff in depth, right? So one of the things that I've noticed before I found your channel, before I saw you, and we can thank Randy K for having you on his show, because otherwise we wouldn't have met, because I saw you on the Randy K show and I was like, I gotta get to know this guy. I started creeping all your stuff a while ago. And I was getting warnings in my spirit about 2024 leading up into 2025, and for some reason 2030, in my spirit, just getting checks in my spirit about that like things are not going to get better, but they're going to get worse. But when I started to see your stuff and I heard you going over, it must have been maybe 8 months ago or so, around there. I'm not sure. It was a while ago, but you started talking about this, and I heard you mention 2025, and I was like, whoa, wait a second. And right before I had heard you say that, I was praying, and I felt the Lord say to me in my spirit that 2025 was when they were going to try to culminate something. That it was, he said, the revelation of the Therian beasts, which is what God calls those hybrid creatures in Revelation, is going to be much sooner than I thought, because I thought 20, 30 years or so, they'll say, oh, we found aliens. And, these are our spirit brothers or space brothers or something like that. And
Yeah.
they're coming to bring us back, that we were, because in Genesis it says that God put Adam in the garden to be a servant, and the word they use is actually a bond servant, so a type of
Yes.
slave. That they were going to try and take and twist that scripture and say that we were created to be slaves, and now they're just going to put us back into that position as being
Hmm.
slaves, quote unquote slaves, but we're going to sell ourselves into that. Then I heard you say 2025, and from Alice Bailey's writings, and it really resonated in my spirit because the Lord had said it's coming sooner than you think. And I was like, how much sooner? And then he put you a live broadcast you were doing and talked about that like right within
Yes.
that time frame. So what is important about 2025?
Okay. If I can find that quote, let me see. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. An externalization of the hierarchy, page 281, and I quote, says, thus a great new movement is proceeding. I'm quoting Alice Bailey here, her book here. Tremendously increased interplay and interaction is taking place. This will go on until AD 2025. During the years intervening between now and then, very great changes will be seen taking place. In 2025, the date in all probability will be set for the first stage of the externalization of the hierarchy. And so that is what I was talking about, is that we began this saying that this is like 2025 is so important. There are several reasons. One, in the Essenes Jewish calendar year, which is more accurate, that's the year of Jubilee. And Dr. Ken Johnson can do more justice explaining all that. Hopefully I can have him back on my show sometime and we can talk more about it. And but basically, this is where the externalization of the hierarchy, like I said, they come in through this mass possession. I think it's mass possession by the year 2025 is what I think the one the show that you were referring to that I did about 8 months ago. And it's on my channel, mass possession by the year 2025, where I go into this more detail. But basically, they come in and they influence people and basically to create chaos, to create a synthesis in order to get everybody into a new, prepare them to enter into to accept a pure spirit state of perfection, of pure right human relationships that are all collective. It's basically Marxist ideology and fascist ideology in there. And you have collectivist mindset that you have to be this collectivist of group love, group consciousness, Christ consciousness, and kumbaya. You reach this state, and the hierarchy is here to help you, but you got to get rid of the reactionary people, the Christians, the Jewish people, anybody who opposes libertarians, free-minded people. They could be atheists, whatever. They like liberty and freedom. They want to get rid of you because you are a diametrically threat. You are a materialist. You have to go. You don't see the ends justify the means, that we got to reach this pure spiritual state. And the hierarchy is going to manifest itself by the year 2025. She says, in all probability, they will do so. And before that will be a scene of great change. And on the pages above it, she's talking about this comes about by group love. I'm talking about love. Everything's about love, 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 love. And this will infiltrate churches. This will infiltrate uh, policy. And well, you're not loving because these people are victims, and these androgynous people have a right to your children because you believe in antiquated family system. You know, you need to pay back because of equity and because you had it so good. No, no, no. The family must go. Has to destroy the family. And so you have to implement all these policies to liberate children, liberate people so they can be what they want to be. And so this is what the hierarchy does. It implants those ideas in people. They carry it out. And that's the chaos is the result. And the idea is the order out of chaos thing. And they want to create the chaos to bring their new order into existence. And basically, like I said, a pure spirit state dragging everybody to hell at eventual state and time. And so that's what the hierarchy is doing. So by the year 2025, for some reason, that is a hallmark. And I found several times where Alice Bailey talked about the 1966. 1966 will be a scene of year when youth are going to move to throw off the shackles of the material world That's happened at least in the United States and Western Europe, oddly enough, coinciding with the root race theory of H.P. Blavatsky. And this will be seen in the church, rebellion in the church by youth to moving them into signs and wonders and miracles. Not real godly signs, wonders, and miracles, but the occult version of signs, wonders, and miracles, and justifying the occult versions of signs, wonders, and miracles, the New Age signs, wonders, and miracles brought into the church, justified in several ways, and one which was these methods are secrets from heaven that were stolen by the devil. So you can now obligate as Christians to go take them back.
Oh.
And so you hear this even in churches today. She said this will, and then there a new teaching would come about in the church from 1975, which coalesces with the Seven Mountain Mandate. That actually happened in August of 1975 here in Colorado Springs. And it became a movement. And Earl Polk was a big movement in that. This is nothing new, because this has been before. It was British Israelism. People don't know what that is, but it's just where people think that the British Anglo-Saxon people are the lost 10 tribes of Israel, which is not true. And this led to the Christian identity movement in the United States, which was based upon racism. It's part of the KKK bunch, okay? And so this captured a lot of Pentecostal circles with signs, wonders, and miracles to implement this policy. Now, I mentioned names, and some people will think these people are the greatest thing since a napkin, but if I mention their names, I get all kinds of hate mail. But one of the biggest ones was a devout racist. His mentor was Roy Davis. Roy Davis was head of the KKK, the entire KK in 1915. He was the Grand Wizard in the Louisiana chapter and in Missouri chapter, where this guy came on the scene. He was mentored by him. He taught the Christian identity movement teaches the serpent seed doctrine. Very racist, very racist. People don't know that. And this guy is buried under a pyramid with an eagle on top, which very occultic symbols. And this guy brought a lot of this stuff into the church. And his name is William Branham. And I just don't know if people will, I want them to check it out for themselves. This guy wasn't a nice guy. This guy was involved in the occult. He always said that he had friends. His best friends were Masons in a lot of his messages. His sister or something was with the Daughters of the Eastern Star. So he went and attended those meetings too. So he attended Masonic meetings. He gave his famous end of the time prophecy in a Masonic temple.
Oh.
Used as a church. What people don't know about the 1960s or in the 50s, a lot of ministers were members of the Masons. I remember a pastor when I was younger had this strange ring on, and I asked my dad about what he's a Mason. I always remember that. It's like this was big back then. So 1966, she said, all this stuff is going to come about. 1975, this identity movement will come and swing. It's going to die out and it'll come back by the year 2000, at the turning of the century. That's what she said. And so the revolution in the church for signs, wonders, and miracles through a youth movement compounded with this identity movement will be big by the year and commonplace and accepted in the church by right around the year 2000. And it has been. And so then she talked about the year 2025. And I'm only giving you a few of her years. And how I found this, I just start typing in words. After I found 1966 by accident, I start typing in dates. So I decided to type in, 2025, because that was the year of Jubilee in the Essenes calendar year. And I was actually blown away when I found it. Not only an externalization of hierarchy, but elsewhere too. And it seemed like this date was set for a reason to get the human agents wound up to produce a state where they actually go in and take over all the cultural mountains of influence, even in the church. That's what dominionist churches do. They want to take over that. And most of the people are in dominionist churches. They think they're doing a good thing. They do not know that it's not. They're sold a bill of goods. I don't condemn these folks. I'm not trying to browbeat them, because I understand you can be deceived and people can be deceived. And you're thinking you do a good thing because it sounds good. You take over and influence the cultural mountains and you can influence society. Well, that's true. But the best way to do that is through a big revival that gets. Just imagine if 1/3 to 2/3 of the United States became Christian. Who is going to be in the halls of government? Christians. And you're going to influence that way. That's how God rolls. That's how he works. It's through people. He doesn't work through an elect few that's going to take over everything, then hand it over so that Jesus can come back, because Jesus can't come back unless they take over everything. That's basic tenets of dominionism. And so that has crept into the church, and the cultic works are in the church from 1966 all the way up to right up to the year 2025. And so these things will be seen, that's what she said, to prepare for the externalization of hierarchy to appear on earth, which we are, government agencies around the world are releasing that UFOs or unidentified flying objects or whatever are true. And it's interesting, they always like to go into the ocean, under mountains, or down volcano shafts. They always go down under, then come back up. Just interesting.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about that is we see in this is in my book that the editor's just about done. I went through all of her stuff, but one of the things that I noticed, first of all, when these creatures come up, they come up out of the earth, they come up out of the sea, etc. And in the book of Amos, I want to say it's like Amos 9 or Amos 3. I'm not sure, but I mean, Amos isn't a huge book. It wouldn't take very much to just go look. But he talks about how if you try to climb into the highest reaches of the heavens, the Hashemayim, he'll bring you down. Says if you try to hide in Sheol, you won't be safe there. And he says if you try and hide at the bottom of the ocean, and that's talking about the very depth of the ocean, it says he'll send Leviathan, the serpent, to strike you at the depths of the ocean. People are like, oh, Leviathan's just a mythological. The Leviathan is not a mythological creature. Leviathan is real. I believe Leviathan was in the garden, and I believe Leviathan is the serpent that's coming back when it talks about Revelation 12. It says the original, it says Ophis Archaeos, right? Which means the original or prime, the very first serpent. It says the Draconta, the dragon. So we have the serpent, the dragon, which the word for dragon was the word that was used to describe dinosaurs until Darwin came up with his theory of evolution. And Satan, who is known as Diablos, the accuser, the whatever. And I find that very interesting because all three of them, it says, are bound up and thrown into hell. But then it says later that only Satan is released after 1,000 years. So, and in Revelation 12:17, it says that the Draconta is angry, all right? After Jesus casts him out of heaven, they don't have a place in heaven anymore. He's on earth, his days are short, and he goes to wage war with the seed of the woman. In Greek, it says he goes to metaspermata, and the word meta can be translated as with, but it also means to transform, change, or alter. And spermata, the seed, to alter or change the seed of the woman. And look at what we're coming into. And have you read anything about that? Is that anything that they have that you've come across where there's any kind of like manipulation of our genetic material or anything? I'm not trying to get a strike on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? But
in fact, there is. It's actually seen in the Bible. Jesus' own words is, as it was in the days of Noah and in the days of Lot, so shall it be when the Son of Man appears or comes in one of his days, plural. I mean, there is two separate events coming. So you'll see in the days of Noah, the sons of God, the watchers, the externalization of the hierarchy, as Alice Bailey said, appeared on Earth, and they genetically modified humanity. So you have to go to use the book of Jasher and Enoch and Jubilees as reference sources. And they're not canon to scriptures by a long shot, but they are quoted in the Bible. Enoch is quoted extensively in the Bible, and so is Jasher. Jasher is quoted in the book of Joshua about, he said, as it is written in the book of Jasher, the sun stood still when Joshua did battle. And so, since you don't believe that the Jashers has any importance, we should rip out that chapter out of Joshua about the sun standing still. No, it is reference to it. It just fills in some gaps. And so in Jasher's description of the Genesis 6 conspiracy, as Gary Wayne would say, it involved them mixing one species with another. That implied genetic modification.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like these fallen watchers, 200 of them at least, cracked the genetic code in such a way that they mixed one species with another. And then the book of Enoch tells about they mixed their seed with animals, and they made all kinds of weird looking things. And they mixed their seed with women and made these Nephilim giants. These in turn did things to humanity, and it made giants, whatever. And so you come across and you see that there is a genetic modification. So in the days of Noah, when the watchers are coming back by the year 2025, before that, preceding that, like she said, preceding that, you'll see a bunch of stuff of chaos, and plus, and I will add in, you probably will see the genetic modification, which we have. At least in 2016, they are successful mixing jellyfish DNA with rabbits in order to produce glow-in-the-dark bunnies for sale in pet stores
Why would people want
in
that?
in the UK. They need
They
to make
can't
some
turn
money, I
on.
guess, on this. Now this has stepped up to such a degree. They have tomorrows now. We're seeing this technology reemerge, mixing of species one with another. And so you'll see that step up by the year 2025 and afterwards. And so we're heading right toward that, as it was in the days of Noah. And what's happening? People are running to and fro, and they're giving in marriage. They're not paying any attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the
No.
people back then probably didn't pay attention to it. Then as the days of Lot, you have a lot of moral perversion and sexual perversion that went on in the days of Lot, Sodom and Gomorrah and the judgment that came.
Yeah.
You'll see that because that activity alters humanity as well through natural means by self-castration, hormone therapy, so forth, etc. And you see that in the ancient pagan religions, in the Astarte or Azareth or the Ishtar, Aphrodite complexes, temples. The young boys will get excited and they'll self-castrate to become high priestess, and if they survive it, they become that. So it says a lot when Balaam told Balak how to entrap, get God mad at the Israelites, so God would have to destroy them and not anyone else, by sending his women to them. These women, so a lot of them were men who think they're women, went into there, and people don't know that about the text or the history behind this religion and what it did. So when it says all these women came in, there's more than just women. It was both sides thinking one's the other and the other's the other. Can't gender fluidity came into the camp, and so we'll see that at the last days. And it's all about altering your image as a human being in God's image. It's all about. And that's what the devil tried to do in Genesis 6. This is what we're seeing now. But we're not paying any attention. They're giving in marriage and they're busy shopping and stuff, or looking at your bill going, how am I going to make ends meet? This Bidenomics, man, we're working really well. It's destroying the economy just like it's intended.
Right. And I found it interesting that you said in the days of Lot, because I didn't know that or recognize that Jesus said that, but I read the book of Jude and I think it's Jude 1:7 when it talks about
Hmm.
chasing after strange flesh. And what I found when I did word study on that is the word they use is hetera sarkos. And of course, we know Sodom and Gomorrah, they're out of me. Obviously, it's where we get the word sodomy, sodomites, etc. And they wanted to, rape the angels of the Lord, and at
Hmm.
that time, which I believe was the Holy Spirit and Jesus, but
Yeah, I do too.
and so the word for strange flesh there, we think of strange just in today's modern lingo as like, having intercourse with somebody that's not your significant other. That's
Hmm.
that's what they use it for. But heteros means altered or transformed, and sarkos means flesh. So altered or transformed flesh, and that was a sin against God. And if we read in Genesis 14, it talks about how Sodom and Gomorrah was ruled by the Rephaim, which were the hybrid beings. They were the tribes, the Hazuzim,
Yep.
the red-haired giants. What were they called? The Horites, the
And the
red-haired giants
Horites,
that
yes.
came over here in the diaspora when when Joshua was going to the Levant and taking over, and they fled, and they have Baalbek where they wrote, we fled from Joshua the robber or destroyer or whatever it
Hmm.
says, and
Hmm.
and we
Yeah.
have the stones in America's Stonehenge in Salem, New Hampshire, that read a temple in dedication to Baal. So we know they were here. They
Yeah, they
came
were.
over here. We know what they look like. There's blonde-haired, blue-eyed giants also called the Amorites, and that it's all
Hmm.
documented in there. And I just find it very interesting that they come back and say, we're the root races. We're the ones that you came from. But really, the Bible tells us they were changing themselves. And
Hmm.
all the way back, they were changing and altering themselves. And people wonder why we don't want to get the stick, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. You don't want to get that.
Okay, well, I could talk about this topic all day, but it's already 3:05, unbelievably. But so in my time, I don't know about your time, but
I'm an hour. It's 2:05 here, but
it's kind of early for you. All right. Well, is there anything that you would like to add? Also, for people to buy your books and support your ministry and all that stuff, we're gonna have to upload this video onto our YouTube channel because I accidentally streamed it to our Fireside Grace family channel, and that's why I'm glad I hit record when I did, or we would have lost this whole interview.
okay. If we have to remake any of it, let me know. We can do it afterwards. Cut it in if you need to. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, yeah, you can go to my YouTube channel. It's at the Christian Marauder. And so you can see my videos there. I do some live streams. I also re-edit the live streams, and the last two videos I did on these Bible number stuff is edited versions are on. I took over Josh Peck's Daily Renegade, the old Daily Renegade. He's using it as a archive because there's a lot of good material on there. So I'm just managing it right now. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But I put my edited versions of those things on there. One of them ran last night. The other one will run next week, of the last two messages that I gave on Bible numbers. They're edited, so they're a lot shorter, a lot cleaner. And so this last one's getting a lot of good hits on it, a lot of good reviews. But anyway, so
Awesome.
you, so that's pretty much if you look at my videos, you can go, it's called, right now, that one is called The Renegade Hour. It used to be the Old Daily Renegade. So if you have the Old Daily Renegade link, it'll take you there, or just look up The Renegade Hour. And I'll probably change that name lately because there's another Renegade Hour there. But it's the old Josh Webb site. And then Josh Peck already started his own Daily Renegade now, revised it with something that can get by and get through the censors. I won't say anymore. Something he did because he can afford it. But anyway, so I do those two. I do my own channel and then moderate that other channel until we decide what to do with it.
Excellent. Well, I
And
just
so
subscribed, so
yeah, just subscribe to both. And so you can contact me. My contact information is excuse me, it's bwmelvin number one at Gmail. That's gmail.com. And then Brian Melvin, BRYAN MELVIN number one at AOL.com. And if you'd like to support what I do, you can use both those through PayPal to do that. if you like to support what I do. And my book is A Land Unknown, Hell's Dominion. My second book on heaven is coming out, I think, what was it, March or May of 2024? I can't remember what the publisher wrote down on there. So it's right now it's pre-sale. So if you want to get a copy in advance, just put it on there and they'll send it to you when it comes out. And some publishers do. I never had a major publisher before, so this is what they do. So those how to support what I do and my channels. And if you'd like to contact me, use those emails, or support me, use those emails I gave.
Great. All right. Well, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. And I hope that this has been literally enlightening to you. I pray that your eyes are opened and that your body, spirit, soul are all flooded with light, overflowing light, that you're truly enlightened. And please, if you have questions, please ask them. Keep your rude comments to yourself, if you will be so kind. If you don't have anything nice to say, you know the rules. So anyway, I guess say whatever you want to. It's America, but pretty soon you won't be able to say what you want to, and then what? So get it out of your system now because the new government's coming. Anyway, let's not go there. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I love you guys. Be blessed, and we will see you again very soon. Okay. So when can I set up an interview with you to talk about your new book? Do we have to wait until after it
You can
comes
do
out, or
you can do a pre one whenever you can set it up. Mom situation, we can set something up maybe February or something like that.
right? It's dependent on.
Yeah, because my mom is going through her into life stuff, and she's still kind of on and in and out right now.
Mhm.
She had an episode where we thought that she was going, but she didn't. She popped back, came back, and
Stay strong.
but she does have congestive heart failure, and so and all that issues that go along with it.
Mhm.
What my sister's dealing with, and got home health care coming in, and hospice is being paid for, and they're getting home health care in there to help out. So until she, I just kind of try to be open, because maybe February might be a good time, late February probably be a good time to plan an interview on the next book. Be closer to when it comes out,
Mhm.
and
Okay, that's
people
good.
can pre-order it. That's what Gary Wayne's doing. I went to go buy Gary Wayne's book and go, wow, this is a pre-order. I went to the bookstore thinking it was there, and I had found out, no, that's pre-ordering it. No, I'll just wait.
Right. I'll forget about it in that time, but okay. So I'll set a reminder in here for me, and I'll reach out to you about it for
But in the
sometime,
meantime,
probably in a couple weeks.
if you want to do any other interviews, let me know. I'm just glad to help you guys out, because you guys are fun to work with.
I do. I just have to go through and watch more of your videos.
Okay. All
I
right. I
can.
can send you the links to the edited ones on the Bible numbers, and you'll like those.
Oh yeah, that's a fun one for me. I watched some of your stuff about that. I haven't figured out your formula for how you find the things that you find in the letters and numbers and stuff, but I understand it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, someone said you need to go real slow. Okay. So this next video I'm going to do, I'm going to go real slow. I'm going to talk about some things that will support what these numbers bring out. So without people knowing that what I'm doing. So I'm going to show people the meaning of the number 42 used in uh, Revelation chapter 11 and 13.
oh yeah.
Antichrist ruling for 42 months, and the time of the Gentiles trampling down the holy city for 42 months. What that
Mhm.
means, how it connects, how it lines up with the verses below and above the context of Revelation. It's amazing. So I'm going to go real in-depth detail and show people how I do this. And then I can't do the whole formulas. I have to save that for another week.
Right,
Then
because
I'll go into the formulas. Then I'll go step by step in the 1260 days, the 3.5 years of 12 1,260 days they talk about. The
I, I just
Yeah,
am fascinated by that stuff. I love when I was a kid, history was always my favorite course. It was the easiest course for me. I did pretty good in school. I didn't have to try, and I didn't try. The only thing I did try to do was calculate how much homework I had to do just to get a C, so I didn't have to do homework all the
Hmm.
time. That was the
Yeah.
most math I did. But that stuff, it just intrigues me, especially because, um, probably 3 years. It's almost actually 4 years now. It's been 4 years. Um, the Lord told me that I was called to to raise up a prophetic generation that Kim Clement birthed in right just before he died, a few years before he died. I guess it was about 12 years, 12 or
Hmm.
13 years before he died. And do that and teach people how to hear God's voice through dream interpretation.
Hmm.
And the funny thing is, because that's how I learned how to hear God's voice was through dream interpretation through John Paul Jackson.
Hmm.
And I realized that he speaks the same way in real life as he does in dreams, if you can understand it. And numbers is one of those things that we get asked about all the time. There's positive and there's negative, and I haven't gone into the things that you have about like the Chaldeans or however you say it,
Yeah.
and their numerology, but I find it very interesting that their stuff is very similar to biblical definitions, but they have this little twist, and sometimes
Hmm.
it's really big drastic twist. But I find it very interesting how you go over that stuff.
Yeah. Well, we can discuss it sometime soon if you like. I mean,
Yeah, I would love to.
because it's I can go over some of the formulas and stuff. I mean, I've been doing this. I thought it was 10 years. Actually, it's longer. I've been doing this for about 12 years. And how I started was